Tappei has just released Arc 9 Chapter 22, and this video will be a summary of the chapter. Highly recommend you check out my Arc 9 Chapter 21 summary. Anyways, let's begin. Old Man Rom explains that if Felt is in danger, they would lose, and therefore she needs to stay back. Felt says that she understands, however she isn't the sort of person who can just sit back and watch. Old Man Rom then says it's normal for the commander to sit back until the fight is over. Felt bared her teeth and growled. Old Man Rom then patted his head. Felt knew that from experience that whenever Old Man Rom did that gesture, he steered the conversation exactly to where he wanted it. With that, Rom agrees and tells Felt to track Owl's footsteps. Felt then asks why, and Rom says to keep track of him and to rescue survivors. Felt understands that the first group that attack Owl will probably be used as sacrificial pawns to trap Aldebaran. Rom says that this is war, and Felt understands that it isn't some fairy tale. Felt grew up in the slums. She wasn't naive. Every day in the slums was a battle for your life. Regardless, Felt would try to win in her own way. The scene changes. When Old Man Rom closed the dialogue mirror, she had a bad feeling. She hastened her pace. When she broke into the plains, she saw that Rom and Owl were positioned in the blast of the Divine Dragon's breath attack. Felt aimed the Star Staff at the dragon. She knew dragons were tough because she witnessed Reinhard fighting Volcanica. The blast hit Volcanica and knocked the Divine Breath off course, flattening the landscape. Felt then berates Old Man Rom for trying to throw his life away. Felt's motto was to live strong. She stated even if they win, they still lose if they die. Owl says he lost. Even the return of Volcanica was accounted for by Old Man Rom. Owl attempted to use Volcanica as an overwhelming display of strength to end the battle. They beat him 500-1 by whittling down his choices. The 500 men who fought with pure desire chipped at Owl's mental fortitude, causing him to make mistake after mistake. However, Owl made the greatest mistake. He miscalculated his matrix, meaning that he fell for Rom's trap, nearly sealing away all possible futures. No matter what I walk into, I always win in the end. That arrogance of Aldebaran was shattered. Owl knew his authority was invincible, but the man wielding the authority was not. A voice told them to stand down. It wasn't Dragon Aldebaran, instead it was Ye, who held Grassis, who was bound up. Not only that, Manfred was also bound up. Felt then tried to move, and she was also bound up via the neck. The Star Staff was on the floor. Ye then apologizes for binding Felt, and Felt asks why she's teaming up with Owl. Ye says that it's natural to follow the scariest person around. Old Man Rom is drained, and we see that he's kneeling, and then he tells him to leave Felt out of it. Dragon Owl then lands on the grass and says that Aldebaran must have had a hard time. Human Owl says that he nearly checkmated himself, and Dragon Owl says it reminds him of when he used to verse his teacher in chess. Owl commends them for following Felt. However, the old man denies it, and Owl understands. Each royal candidate is different. Each candidate burns brightly in their own way, and these people are brightened by the light that Felt emits. Owl then turns. From the forest, 500 battered men emerge, all leaning on each other for support, but they all had resolve in their eyes. They would hunt down Owl no matter what, even if they were injured. However, the Divine Dragon Volcanica changed everything. It was like flipping the chessboard over. Owl states it's over since he has overwhelming force. Ye then tells Felt to stop struggling, but Felt says that she's not moving. But she does say, "Look at me." Aldebaran assumes some sort of technique, but nothing happens. The person who spoke first was Dragon Owl, who said he has a problem. He scratches his cheek and looks at Felt. Dragon Owl says he cannot refuse Felt's request. The scene changes. Farsail, your recklessness has exhausted me and the others. Those were the words of Volcanica, and those were the words he spoke after seeing Felt. The battle was huge, but the second Volcanica saw Felt, Volcanica was no longer aggressive. Who the hell was Farsail? Don't screw with me, Felt said. However, Felt wasn't naive. She knew who Farsail Lagunica was, the person who was the last Lion King, the person who made the covenant with the dragon Volcanica, and Volcanica thought she was Farsail. Felt had grown over time. Her figure was fuller, so she was mad at being mistaken as a boy. Even if Volcanica was senile, he expressed devotion to Felt. Volcanica didn't fall for Felt because of her eye color or hair color. It must have been for a different reason. By the way, guys, if you don't understand what this is referring to, this is from the side story when they go to the Pleiades watchtower and Reinhard fights Volcanica, and then when Felt goes in front of Volcanica, Volcanica just stops fighting and calls Felt Farsail. So this is like a flashback. The scene changes. When Felt gave the look at me command, the divine dragon reacted in a unique way, so she was sure it worked. The divine dragon obeys her. Felt states that the fight is over and tells the rest of the men to back off, before saying that Old Man Rom had his way, but this was always her strategy when Volcanica arrived. They had discussed the possibility of Volcanica arriving, and Felt discussed this plan. With that, Owl asks if it's true, and Dragon Owl says it's very true, and because it's him in control, it's lucky he hasn't betrayed Owl yet. Ye says that this is troublesome, and digs the steel thread into her throat. Aldebaran tells her to stop, but Ye says it's obvious that Dragon Owl is going to, of course, go down a dangerous path. Dragon Owl released a breath, singeing them, but Ye was unfazed, looking Dragon Owl in the face and saying that he doesn't scare her. The only person that scares her is Human Owl. Owl then gets in between of Dragon Owl and Ye and stops them, noticing that Rom is looking for an opportunity to attack. Owl says to call it a draw, and both sides should retreat. Felt says why? After all, they crushed his plans. Owl says that there was a time limit for the fight for when Volcanica arrives. Now that Volcanica has arrived, but no longer is choosing a side, they're at stalemate. So if they don't sort out the situation, they're just going to go back to a 500-man brawl. Felt analysed Owl, but she couldn't really see his face. Felt knew that her argument had a fatal flaw. Owl had chosen to not kill everyone. If he changed his mind, they would all die to Ye. Felt crafted her words to ensure Owl wouldn't make the choice of killing people. Felt says that she has more tricks and will win. Owl says that even if he let her go, she will still track him down. Felt says that she will offer herself as a hostage. Felt says that this was his plan at the start after all. If Felt was a hostage, they would win. And after all, if Felt is a hostage, then her men cannot move. Ye says that it isn't a good deal, since she can always run away, but Felt says you can keep the thread on her neck, so if she runs away, then they can cleave her neck off. Dragon Owl tells Farsail to not take it too far, and Felt once again corrects Dragon Owl, saying that her name is Felt. We then see Owl saying that he will accept the deal, but in that moment, Rom launched forwards and grabbed Owl, restraining him. However, Owl uses a stone arm and punches Old Man Rom in the head, knocking him out. Felt wanted to rush over, but couldn't due to the steel thread on her neck. Owl then says he won't apologize for that hit. The battle was over. The scene changes. Old Man Rom was carried off by Felt's men. Owl stood there, waiting for everyone to withdraw. He used Dragon Out to confirm that they weren't being followed. Dragon Owl says no one is left. Owl asks if he can trust Dragon Owl. Dragon Owl says in manga is usually the character themselves that betray themselves, and that his loyalty is 50-50 between Human Owl and Felt. Something Human Owl knew was that even though Dragon Owl and him shared memories and personalities, they were not the same person. However, Dragon Owl was useful, but it would never be anything more than that. Ye then comes back, saying Felt had nothing on her but a dialogue mirror which she shattered. We see that Felt was thoroughly searched to ensure that she had nothing on her body. She was searched behind Dragon Owl's massive frame because they were in the middle of a plane. Felt is of course sad that she was stripped naked in a field. Owl says that it's a punishment for losing, but Old Man Rom is worse. Felt then asks if Owl is Volcanica, and Felt continues saying that Owl talks like the guy from the Emilia camp. Aldebrand says that the agency said that the character wouldn't sell, saying that his name is Aldebrand. They had 5 days left. Owl wonders if they can leave Felt here, but Dragon Owl says he needs to keep an eye on her, so Human Owl has a headache. How many stars watched over Felt? Owl then states he won't lose to fate. Felt then asks what the plan is, and Owl says they go to the Great Vent in the middle of Kararagi. There is a place that connects to somewhere no one can touch. He needs to go there to throw something away. All the trouble for that? Felt asks, and Owl says he has to do it for him to remain who he is. Felt wanted to say something, but a voice broke out. Heinkel then woke up and asked what happened, before saying his back hurt. Owl secretly thanks Heinkel for diffusing the gloomy atmosphere. The battle truly ended. And with that, the scene and chapter ends. So, thank you for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Amazing chapter. So, yeah, it's obvious that Felt is a royalty. But what I'm seeing from this chapter is that they're going to Kararagi, and I think Owl wants to throw Subaru into this great vent, whatever that is. So we might actually see Zerestia and Halabel, because they're currently fighting, or going to be fighting in the side stories, so get ready for that. But yeah, it's interesting.